Hello, why does watercolor painting feel so difficult to master? The most important part of watercolor painting is water control. Today, we'll look at 5 common struggles with water control in the wet-on-wet technique and learn how to solve them step by step. First, let's look at water amount, too much versus too little. Let's look at the process of painting a rose. We apply water to the paper first and lay down a light pink first wash. What happens if there's too much water at this time? The paint spreads too much, making it hard to express changes in value and shading. Also, as the paint gets pushed to the edges, it leaves dark drying marks, making it look flat rather than three-dimensional. On the other hand, if there is too little water, the gradation won't be smooth and sharp, hard edges will form, making it difficult to create a natural dimensional look. In this case, it's a good idea to repeatedly practice the tricky parts on a small piece of paper. Apply an adequate amount of water to the paper, then gradually add opera pink pigment. The key is to adjust the water consistency so that the paint spreads gently across the paper, revealing the flower shape. If the paint bleeds too intensely during practice, it means you have too much water, so reduce the water amount. If dark lines appear, you have too little water, so adjust and practice accordingly. Second, let's look at understanding how water flows. This is when the water on the paper dries unevenly. This time, it's a case where you start with the right water control, but things gradually go wrong as you paint. When painting hydrangeas, you first wet the paper and paint while varying the shades between violet and blue tones. While the water amount was fine when you started, the paper gradually dries over time. So by the time you reach the bottom, if the paper has already dried, the gradation won't flow naturally. This is when the bottom dries first. Another case is when the top dries first. The area you painted first starts drying, while the bottom still has too much water. As you add more paint and water to your brush, the bottom gets wetter compared to the top. When this happens, the moisture from the wet bottom flows backward into the drier top, creating unwanted blooming marks. This is called backrunning or cauliflower effect. For clean results, paint should be applied when the entire surface has an even moisture level to ensure smooth absorption without staining. There are a few ways to solve this problem. To prevent the bottom from drying too quickly, wet the top slightly less and the bottom a bit more generous with water. Then, paint down from the top so the bottom stays wet. If too much water pools at the bottom, reduce the moisture on your brush to match the water level of the upper area. Also, when laying down a multicolored first wash, pre-mixing your colors on the palette saves time and keeps the paper wet while you paint quickly. For larger paper sizes, using a fine mist sprayer during painting to supply moisture is also a great technique. Since water always flows from wetter areas to drier areas, you need to consistently practice sensing how water flows, the amount of water remaining on the paper, and how fast it dries. Third, fourth, and fifth, let's talk about glazing and layering, which many find the most challenging. Third, let's look at layering too soon, glazing while the base layer is still wet. When painting an autumn leaf, let's lay down a first wash before glazing. When glazing, you must wait until the first wash is completely dry before applying the next layer. Even if it looks dry on the surface, looking closely reveals that the paper fibers are still slightly swollen with moisture. Glazing at this point dissolves the wet base coat beneath, lifting the pigment and exposing the white paper underneath. Even if you apply dark color over it again, it will leave irregular stains as it dries. Now, let's try glazing after the first wash is completely dry. Notice that even when applying water, the base pigment no longer lifts or dissolves. This makes it easy to build up darker values gradually for depth and shading. Comparing the two side by side highlights the difference clearly. Always ensure complete dryness before glazing. Fourth, let's look at water control when glazing. Improper moisture balance on your brush. Looking at the lily of the valley bloom, we apply water to the paper first and add green tones near the stem. If the paper is too wet, the paint bleeds uncontrollably or won't stay where you want it. Conversely, if it's too dry, it won't blend at all. When glazing, the water amount held in your brush must closely match the moisture level already on the flower bloom. Fifth, let's look at timing your glaze. Looking at the stripe details on the tulip, we drew sharp lines with a fine detail brush on a completely dry surface. In this case, you can draw crisp lines comfortably without worrying about bleeding. However, when you want soft, gentle leaf veins like on a rose leaf, draw the lines when the paper is about 80 to 90% dry. Here again, at that exact right timing, when the paper is nearly dry, you must draw with a reduced water amount on your brush. If the paper is a bit too wet, the line will render thicker. If the paper is completely dry, the line becomes razor sharp. Finding the perfect balance between paper dampness, brush water amount, and timing your glaze is the ultimate key. Today, we explored 5 common struggles with watercolor water control and their solutions. Please refer to the practice sheet to identify which category your usual painting style falls into, and focus your practice on those specific areas. Once you understand and practice these core principles, you'll gain much more confidence in managing watercolor water control. And to help you practice, both sheets are free. Just check the pinned comment for the download link. I hope today's guide was helpful for your watercolor journey. If you have any questions or run into any difficulties while practicing, please leave a comment down below. See you next time. Bye!